Who would have thought that 2024 would kick off with a game that's essentially Pokemon with guns taking PC gamers by storm? This game is absolutely wild. You've got a huge world to explore, you have these monsters which are basically like Pokemon, and the combat is a mixture of various mechanics. Looking at it from a PC hardware perspective, it got me thinking that if these are the types of games that people are itching to play, then it really goes to show how we don't need to get so riled up about specs of expensive GPUs or new PC hardware in general. Let's discuss that in this video. This video is sponsored by mycdks.com. So you recently just built a gaming PC and are looking to get Windows installed and activated. Well, mycdks has got you covered. Over on their website, they offer great deals on various software such as Office and Windows. Right now, you can buy a Windows 10 Pro OEM key for just under $15 by using my coupon code MDR to get 30% off. Then once you have your key, you're going to want to open your Windows 10 settings menu, click on Update and Security, and on the left, click on Activation. Then you'll want to click on Change Product Key and enter it in. After that, you'll have an activated copy of Windows. You can then also use this key to then upgrade to Windows 11 for free. Thank you to mycdks for sponsoring this video. Check them out in the video description down below. Hey, what is going on, guys? Danny here, welcome back to the channel, and I hope you've all been doing well. Unless you've been living under a rock this past week, then you've probably have heard of this new game called Palworld. I'll be honest, until last week I had never heard of this game and had no idea about its development, but this game has been making waves in the PC gaming community. Many have even dubbed it as the Pokemon with guns. In just a few days, it has skyrocketed to a high concurrent player base, even surpassing some new games from AAA studios. If we check out the Steam charts at the time of making this video, we can see that it's holding the top spot, well above even established IPs like Counter-Strike and Dota. Pocket Pair has reported that in just 3 days, it has sold more than 3 million copies, making it one of the fastest selling games in recent memory. This is a remarkable feat, especially for a game that was initially treated as nothing more than a meme. So what makes Palworld so captivating? At its core, Palworld is an open world survival game where you live alongside adorable and sometimes deadly creatures called pals, or at this point many are literally just calling them Pokemon because of how similar they are in appearances. The game combines elements of combat, farming, crafting, collecting, and exploration, offering a rich and diverse gameplay experience. One of the unique features of Palworld is the ability to exploit pals for labor, using them to complete tasks, and even eating them if necessary. This adds a layer of complexity and moral ambiguity to the game, setting it apart from other creature collecting games. So similar to Pokemon, where you have creatures who go to battle for you, but you also get the flavor of a sweatshop slave labor. In the trailer, I saw how near the end of the game, the player basically has a fortress and a factory with what looks to be an assembly line, and then you have this cute pal here making you AK-47s. Like, what? This feature is also what helps it set it apart from a lot of the other open world survival games that are out there. Instead of you wasting your time grinding or building a way to expand your base, you can have your pals do the work for you while you're out there trying to capture more and do some other quests. So this really sets it apart from games like Ark, and I found Ark to be really bland. You know, I played Rust and eventually dropped it after a couple weeks because I, again, found it to be pretty bland, but Palworld really has a new flavor to it. Moreover, Palworld is set to introduce several new features, including a PvP arena, raid bosses for multiplayer PvE, and pal trading. These updates promise to enhance the multiplayer experience and add more depth to the gameplay. So it's fun when you're playing by yourself, and it's even more fun when you're playing with others. It's interesting because it's blending a whole bunch of different genres and different types of games like Ark, Pokemon, Stardew Valley, and others, and usually when games do this, they often end up doing poorly or feeling lackluster because they end up spreading themselves out so thinly that they don't really have a good experience in any of the categories. However, that's not the case here. I think the other reason why people found this game to be so enjoyable is because these past few years for Pokemon games have been kind of dreadful from what I've heard. I'm personally not too big on those types of games, but just speaking from friends who are, apparently they have been bland, and a game like Palworld is what a lot of people were looking for, although I'm not so sure about the guns part, but hey, it seems to be working out for them just fine, and I don't think we've really had a game like this in particular come to the PC that's been so very similar to Pokemon. One of the standout features of Palworld is its art style and graphics. No, you're not getting ultra photorealistic graphics here. It's not Alan Wake 2 or Avatar. The game features a vibrant and colorful world filled with diverse environments and adorable creatures. The game's art style is reminiscent of anime, which adds to its charm and appeal, sort of like like Breath of the Wild and Genshin Impact. This is another game that proves that trying to sell a title with graphics being one of its appeals isn't necessary at all. If the game becomes engaging in other aspects, whether that's gameplay, mechanics, combat, and the thrill of pushing the player to explore the world, then it can totally be acceptable for it to have cartoony graphics. And with that said, they can still have them appear in an eloquent and presentable manner. Despite its charming graphics, Palworld is optimized to run smoothly on a wide variety of hardware. This is a testament to the developer's commitment to accessibility and inclusivity. Whether you're running the game on a high-end gaming rig or a budget laptop, you can enjoy Palworld without any performance issues. Let's talk about why Palworld looks good from a hardware perspective. One of the key reasons is that you don't need a high-end PC to play it. The minimum system requirements for Palworld are fairly modest by 2024 standards. You'll need an Intel Core i5-3570K or later, an Nvidia GeForce GTX 1050, 16GB of RAM, and 40GB of available storage. This means that even if you don't have the latest gaming rig, you can still enjoy Palworld because these are very low-end specs. For optimal performance, the developers recommend an i9-9900K, 32GB of RAM, and a GeForce RTX 2070 GPU. However, even with these recommended specs, Palworld remains accessible to a wide range of PC gamers. If you think about it today, a mainstream CPU like a 12400 or 5700X would give you comparable performance to a 9900K, and an RX 6600 XT performs better than an RTX 2070. So it really doesn't take much to run this game, and that was definitely the right play here for them because it allowed them to capture a wide player base thanks to that accessibility. I always find it somewhat hysterical where we have spent many weeks and months talking about new PC hardware coming to the market that is supposed to be pushing the boundaries in graphics. You'll have manufacturers putting such an emphasis on newly released AAA titles that have these realistic visuals. Then you have games like this with simplistic yet still attractive graphics, and it garners the most amount of attention. And the great part is that you don't need a $600 GPU to run it. If you ask me, I honestly feel like we're at this point now when it comes to graphics and games where people aren't necessarily desiring visuals to be pushed further beyond than what we have today. I mean, sure, you look at a game like Avatar or Alan Wake 2, and the realistic graphics is part of what sells the game, and there will be more games to come in the future that will keep pushing the graphics envelope. But as I mentioned earlier, if the gameplay isn't there, then it's not going to keep the audience engaged. What ends up happening is you'll have hardware nerds mostly talking about it, showcasing and running their benchmarks for a few weeks, and then the game will be forgotten because nobody's actually playing it. Then there's also no point in benchmarking it because nobody cares about the results. You guys remember Immortals of Avium, right? A game which came out last year, ran on UE5, and it garnered a decent amount of interest in the PC gaming space because it was supposed to be pushing the limits of hardware, but also not justifiably. The game did have a lot of optimization issues, and it almost feels like these games are designed in a way to help facilitate the sales of hardware, even though you could run a game released in the past with similar visuals just fine on your rig. Just something there to think about. And if you take a look at Immortals of Avium right now, there's like less than 50 people playing it. But my point is that if we're seeing diminishing returns when it comes to visuals with a heavy performance tax, it's going to deter people. Furthermore, from a personal standpoint, the stage we are at currently for graphics is more than satisfactory for me. I'm currently doing another playthrough of Cyberpunk 2077 with path tracing, and I think the game looks absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous enough for me. I don't look at it and say, oh man, this would be even better if it was 10 times better in visuals for me to enjoy it, because I am enjoying it and the graphics are good enough. If the GPU manufacturers come out and say, hey look, don't expect to see another huge jump in visuals, we're reaching the limits of what hardware can do, then I personally wouldn't care at all. They're good enough for me, and I'd rather focus on other aspects of the game like its story, the combat, gameplay, etc. Palworld is a testament to that notion because it's not a game that has to be pushing the boundaries of graphics for it to keep the players engaged. It has a formula that encapsulates the other areas I mentioned, and it does it really well. The good news for PC gamers is that if you're getting turned off by the fact that a true mainstream graphics card costs $600 plus, then rest assured you'll be able to continue to play new games coming out because not all of them will be glorified tech demos, if I'm to be honest. I think a company like Nvidia realizes this. In recent years, their focus was heavily on ray tracing, path trace graphics, etc. But now that we've reached the point where the graphics are good enough, then they're starting to target other areas that can still harness the power of their GPUs, so at least they can continue to sell hardware. Just recently at their CES keynote, they showcased the two NPCs having an unscripted conversation controlled by AI. This tech and others like it that aren't related to graphics but machine learning could be what they're gradually pivoting to in the future. Instead of exclusive graphics features that are available to Nvidia cards, they'll start incorporating these new technologies in video games that can be enabled in some settings menu, and that will totally change change your experience, but of course for it to work, you'll need to upgrade to the latest gen. Like, you'll still be able to play the game without it, but if you want to experience, say, the NPCs in the game to have lifelike conversations, you'll need this new GPU that has some sort of onboard AI accelerator. Now, that's a topic that I believe deserves its own separate video, as there's much we can discuss. Circling back to Palworld, its rise to popularity can be attributed to its unique blend of gameplay elements, its appeal to a broad audience, and its relatively low system requirements. It's a testament to the fact that a game doesn't need to be developed by a AAA studio that's pushing the boundaries of graphics and taxing PC hardware to make a big impact. Whether you're a fan of creature collecting games or just looking for something new to play, Palworld is definitely worth checking out. Alrighty guys, so that will do it for this one. We'll touch base in the next video. If you guys found this video to be informative and entertaining, then leave a like. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. Be sure to check out the video description for cool links and ways to support the channel, such as using my Amazon affiliate link. And if you're interested in seeing more content like this, then consider subscribing. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.